Welcome to Pagan Coffee Talk. I'm Oswin, and I have with me Lord Night, and we are going to talk about
sacred space
and why you shouldn't use it for spell work.
Oh, do you know how many people just died slightly inside?
Oh, well.
All right.
What have you got to say about this?
Well, let's ask a real question, though. What's sacred space?
Well, sacred space is what you create when you commune with gods.
All right, so let's talk about the scientific point of view, what we think happens when we cast circle. All right, long drawn-out thing. If you listen to our stuff on spirituality and stuff, you know a priest handle most of the mundane stuff in temple, and the priestesses do the spiritual. So in that case, it is the priest's right to do the first scribe of a circle, to indicate a separation between the mundane world and
the spiritual.
Okay? But again, what he's doing is he's laying down a psychic field. Correct?
Correct.
And then after that, most of the time, the high priest and priestess are doing stuff together to finish creating this sphere of energy. In our tradition, what we honestly believe is that once we create this, what we are actually doing is warping space and time.
Right.
We are literally creating our own pocket dimension outside of this reality and outside of all the others. And then we use the energy that we build up inside of it to bring us up to the frequency and the vibration and the power level. It's going to sound really strange. That is at the top of the human body's threshold, but at the lower end of the threshold for deity.
Okay.
Bringing these two worlds together. So we actually have direct communication or connection with deity.
Would you say it's like creating a bridge?
Yeah, it's like creating a bridge. It's like creating a portal. But this is what we're doing. We're literally, and the reason we believe this is because there are some weird stuff that happens in circles.
Right.
All right. Now, I'm not saying these are bad things or good things. Like, you know, you'll get a candle in one of the directions that burn faster than all the other ones. How many people has gone into a circle and think you've been in there for 5 minutes, you come out, and it's like an hour later? Electronics.
Oh, electronics are the worst.
Electronics inside sacred space is not a good thing.
No, it's
it does not. They're too sensitive to be in this. The energies mess them up. I've known a lot of people who've taken their batteries out and still brought their phone in their pocket and then sit there and try to power it up later, and it wouldn't work. And
yeah, I've seen that on a few occasions myself. Never with my phone or any of my electronics, but.
Oh, no. We put that stuff on the other side. I mean, I've seen us get a little bit to the point to where, you know, okay, how far away we are from the TV and power lines and all this. Because we know the two don't mix too well. Again, we're taking as proof as we are warping space and time because, again, weird stuff goes on. That's all I can say. Now, this is our time to commune and celebrate the gods. Right. It is not a fucking time for you to do a goddamn spell for your own vanity, to get a job, the boyfriend, girlfriend, what the hell ever.
Well, what about those people that say, well, I need my sacred space to cast my spells so I'm protected?
All right. If you're doing your meditations, I know. Wiccan conservative has just rolled her eyes.
There he goes again.
There he goes again. If you're doing this, if there is a psychic field around everybody, we refer to it as like an aura field, and some people can see it, some people can't.
Right.
When you're psychologically dealing with your issues and stuff, kinks in that psychic armor of yours disappear. All right? It gets really confusing because, again, this is all a battle of wills here. If your will is stronger than somebody else's, they can never do anything to you. They can't bend you.
Does that include spirits?
True. Spirits and other souls and stuff like that, yes.
So if you're doing your meditations properly and daily, you're building up that field.
Let's say if you're dealing with your psychological issues.
Okay.
All right, which might be a combination of medication, meditation, and
therapy.
All right, could be. It could just be meditation by itself.
Right.
All right, so don't get me wrong there. But if you're dealing with these issues and working with them, I truly believe things become a whole lot different. And you're able to maintain the identity of yourself. Because think about it this way. It's the whole entire thing of Ben Kenobi in Star Wars.
How so?
These are not the droids you're looking for.
Ah.
And then he goes, no, it's the weak of mind. He's talking about weak of will. Seriously. If your mind is that way, as weak as water, it's easy to influence it. It's easy enough to influence. You don't really have to have any power. But a stronger mind is going to take a little bit more effort, a little bit more convincing.
Right.
Does that make sense?
I believe it does. I mean,
so
I think that's pretty...
So if you have this, you don't need all these freaking protections. Our protections that we put up, believe it or not, is not to protect us.
Right.
It's to protect the rest of the world.
Right.
I know people are...
Our neighbors... people living in the house that may not be of our path.
Right. You have to contain these energies. These are psychic energies. We believe in an agrarian field, okay? Every time you cast circle, you can never re-pick up all the energy you put out.
Right. There's always going to be some left over.
Right. So if you've ever cleaned carpets or anything like that, you can sit there and use that thing to suck up all the water you can, but the carpet's still going to be wet.
Right.
You're going to have to wait for it to air dry. You can't get off. Same thing with psychic energy. So it creates this agrarian field. And if you're continuously doing it in the same spot over and over again, that energy builds, becomes stronger. Now, these energies do have a bad tendency to attract things.
Really?
Really.
Like what? Do tell.
Spirits, other things that need to feed off that energy, which we will have to get into this later because this has to do with soul and spirit energies and stuff like that. But let's just say roughly, we don't believe that souls can survive in this realm. It's
right.
Toxic to them. They have to have a vessel to be in. Basically, we think of the body as more like a spacesuit. Does that make sense? And that the soul is sort of like an alien body in this realm.
Ah, okay.
So it needs a spacesuit, and that is your body.
Right.
Right? Anyway, so things can be attracted to this energy. Ghosts, spirits, whatever you want to call it, because they need this energy to survive if they don't have a spacesuit.
Okay.
All right, we're not talking about spirit energy or yet, okay? That's an elemental thing. We'll get to that a little bit later. But this energy can build up over time. Imagine that traditional witch sitting there and doing these over and over again. If we don't put up barriers and stuff to keep the energy in, this will allow certain other beings that do not have corporeal form to slip in there and feed and live off this stuff for a while, maybe even become stronger. So we actually have to protect the rest of the world from this energy. Anybody who's so fucking arrogant to think that they are so precious that they need protection, I'm sorry, just drives me up the wall. How arrogant do you have to be?
Well, and my question or my thought is, okay, you're casting a spell. Why, if you need protection from your spell, maybe you shouldn't be doing it.
Well,
I think we talked about that.
Again, to me, the spirit, the energy of circle is a whole lot more concentrated because you're doing it over. You're not telling it to go anywhere.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, when you're casting a spell, let's think about it like this. All right. Circles contain energy and condense them, right?
Right.
So we can warp space and time and commune with the deity, which is what we should be doing in circle, not casting goddamn spells.
Right.
And we think of spells as kind of like dogs and cats or any other animal, right? Where we can give them a task, train them, give them a task, and they'll go out and do it, right?
Right.
Spells do not have any moral compass. All they're going to do is they're going to go do the spell and take the least path of resistance to get that spell. Hence the reason the whole entire thing of you're never going to get $20 off of freaking Bill Gates, because Bill Gates did not become rich by losing 20 fucking bucks.
Right.
The guy down the street that's got 3 kids and working 12 jobs, that guy is going to lose $20 because he ain't got time to fix the holes in his pants.
Right.
All right. So that's who you're going to get your damn $20 off of. Anybody fooling themselves any other way is stupid. I hate to be that way. But again, if you're doing an inside circle, this is kind of like taking your dog or your pet, putting it inside of a crate,
mm-hmm.
and then telling it to guard your house and walking off. What's it going to do? It's going to sit in the cage and go, I can bark when somebody comes in. That's about it.
What about the cone of power that's typically done inside of a circle?
Again, the cone of power is to bring us closer to deity. That's
the cone of power.
Way too much. That type of energy, again, you're using multiple people.
So the cone of power is not for spell work.
No. Ritual is for communion with deity. How hard is this concept? You see all these people out here, and they're more worried about, casting a spell, and yet they don't know how to commune with deity. And then they look at people that are more traditional like us, and we look at them going, magic?
Right.
You know, I tell you what, when you walk among the gods and commune with them, yeah, you're going to look down at magic going, okay, well, whatever. But all you're doing in all your rituals, and your full moon ritual is nothing more than you going to go take a ritual bath for money or for love or something. Really, honestly, let's think about this. And if you're having to do this all the time, and I'm sorry, I've seen these spells or ritual or so-called rituals out on Reddit and all this stuff. They're fucking spells. They don't need to be done in sacred space. They need to be done outside, somewhere else.
Right.
Magic, believe it or not, and a lot of people are going to hate me, magic is not a fucking spiritual thing. It is a mundane thing. It is messing with the fabric of the universe. It's done in this realm, not in a pocket dimension to get permission from deity.
And again, we talked more about that in a previous episode where we dealt specifically with magic.
Right. Over and over again is that this and the magic and deity have nothing to do with one another.
No, they're not related at all.
No. Magic just happens to be a byproduct of what we do.
Right.
Because we can cast a circle. Yes, we're using magic to do this, but what we're doing is completely different. We are literally separating ourselves from this world. Oh, no. Here, but my altar's going to be here on a wall because I'm too stupid to get an altar and sit it in the middle of the floor.
I've known people who've had just like a little small table and they sit down at it.
Yes.
In the middle of their circle. It's still in the middle of their circle.
Right.
You don't need some big elaborate table to set up as an altar.
No. And
it doesn't have to be a permanent structure.
No, and you don't need 50 of them. You don't need 50 for 50 different gods.
Right.
And goddess. If you got 50 or 100, and then half of them are freaking cluttered as hell. I don't see how in the hell anybody uses any of them. I've seen the pictures of them.
Oh, we'll get into that in another episode. We have something specific for that. You're getting ahead of yourself.
I'm just saying, but everybody treats sacred space so flippantly.
Right.
It pisses me off. It's sacred space. There's a reason we put the word sacred in there.
Absolutely.
This is a place to commune with the gods, not for you to get a fucking wish list.
Right.
And for those who think they're powerful enough to channel the energy of the gods to get what in the hell they want, don't.
Yeah, don't even try that.
Don't.
You're going to regret that.
Because I have seen people who have gotten themselves in some pickles just because they can't keep their fucking word, and they swore these allegiance in front of the gods. And yet you're going to cast the spell which is supposed to be known. We do it as it's already, and believe it as already done once we cast that spell.
You can refer back to the witch's pyramid.
All right? But yet if it fails, but yet you promise the gods, oh, they're going to slap the shit out of you.
Yeah. It's like, hello?
You know, I don't understand. This is your time to commune with the gods.
Use it. Use it wisely.
Use it wisely. Gain wisdom. Communicate. Meditate with them. Grasp their wisdom and their knowledge. Because, again, that's something beyond us.
Right.
But no.
No, we're going to use this time to cast a spell.
I'm going to have to go get yet another crystal for this spell and this specific herb and all of this because I am too incompetent to do my meditations to realize that I can use the energies of this stuff to literally create a ball of energy to go out from my kitchen counter.
Yes.
You can spells can be cast in the middle of work, in the middle of driving.
Oh my God, yes.
All right. I know a high priestess who actually cast a spell for her fiance or boyfriend at the time to regain the money he lost at a roulette table in the middle of a casino. Mm-hmm. No circle cast, no nothing needed.
No tools.
No tools, no nothing. And yet if I hear one more thing about a freaking witch bottle or ladder or what the fuck are y'all doing?
Yeah, you don't need all that mess.
All right. Yes, it's helpful. It helps. There are triggers there. We use psychological triggers for certain smells and stuff like that. Herbs do have a certain amount of energy.
Right. And some of these things like the witch bottles and the ladders and stuff like that, they can be actually kind of fun to work with.
They can be fun to work with.
But you don't need them.
But you don't need them. This is just a focal point. This is to keep you from having to imagine one less thing. It's like using a puppet to represent somebody. That's one less thing you have to focus on.
Right.
Because you have it physically in your hands. You know, just like we talked about in the witch's pyramid. The crux behind it is to have the emotional fortitude to do what you need to during that moment.
Absolutely. And if you can't tap into that.
And I'm sorry, you can't tap into that if you don't understand how in the world your own emotions work.
Right.
Again, do those freaking daily meditations. I don't understand what's so hard about this.
You know, I don't either. I mean,
I don't either. And I don't understand why in the world we are perverting our sacred space by sitting there telling people, oh, yeah, go do your little spell during the middle of a circle, during a full moon. Why ain't you worshiping the goddess during the fucking full moon like everybody else?
Right.
Why are you denying yourself a connection to deity? Oh, no. No. I study, and you study with them, but you never become friends with them.
And if you're not friends with them, how do you expect anything to happen? You'll never be able to touch ground with them. You'll never be able to basically break bread with them and commune and be a part of that experience. It is an experience.
Well, think about it like this. You can sit there and imagine any star or anybody you hold famous that you like. You can read about them. You can learn about them. You can find out when they were born. You can find out what shows they were in, what people think of them and all that. But it still don't mean you know them.
Oh, no.
I mean, this is just data about them. It doesn't tell you anything about their personality, what they're like, you know, at home, in front of their friends or anything.
Right.
I'm sorry, the biggest movie star, action, buff dude, whatever, at home could just be a real big old kid and nerd.
Right. Well, I mean, look at Woody Harrelson. I mean, he was a big star, and everybody followed him and all this other mess. But then at home, he's smoking weed and playing bongos naked. Who would have thought?
You know?
You don't really know anybody.
No, you don't.
And it's the same with the gods and the goddesses. You've got to take the time.
Yes.
You have to.
You can't just sit there and go, yeah, well, I studied them and read all the myths about them and then didn't in my meditation sit there and meditate on them and try to get to know them. I did not go into sacred space just to communicate with this specific deity, to see what I could learn from them, what they could teach me.
But even if you
threw all that out so I could get $20 off the deadbeat down the road that's got 5 kids.
Well, and I was going to say that even if you have done that, you still don't need to use that sacred space to sit there and try to use them to cast a spell.
To make you feel better about your guilt, about the spell that you cast.
Why are you doing this in sacred space?
Well, I mean, and again, this is also part of this, like we talked about with the ethics and morals. There's a part of you're responsible for your actions.
Yes.
I'm responsible for my actions. Everything that's gone wrong in my life is nobody else's fault but mine. I mean, people don't realize this, but me and you were married. Again, I've made decisions for me.
Right.
You make decisions for you. We're both adults, but I made my choices. I can't sit there and go, hey, why did you let me do that?
Right, and I can't do that. I can't say that either.
No. I mean, because let's admit it, you look at me and you go, hey, why'd you do that?
You dug your own grave on that one.
That's the only answer you're ever going to get.
Right.
It's your mess, you clean it up.
Well, and that's the way it should be.
I know a lot of people get upset with us in our tradition because we're bad about that. You get your first degree, and yes, we'll be the first ones to look at you. It's your mess, clean it up.
Right.
You're a witch now, fix it.
Lord Knight, help me. I did this. No, you're a witch. You fix it.
You fix it.
Your time for being coddled is over.
It's over.
You're no longer a neophyte. You're no longer oblivious to whatever.
Right.
You're responsible now.
You no longer have that neophyte status. You are no longer ignorant of what in the world's going on around you.
Right.
You might not have been given access to power or anything like that from our tradition, way we believe, but you're still a witch. You're still certain things you can do.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, especially with us, first degree, we believe you have full access to all power. We think that you just lack the understanding on how to control it.
Right.
Or to access it, but you have access to it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's there.
It's there. It's there to pick up. Because some people are going around like, spirituality and this stuff is like something, some limited commodity on a freaking shelf that you've just...
Right.
I mean, literally, Lady Keegan was telling me about this woman. She was doing an online class, and that woman was like, yeah, we need to go pick it up before all the men. And she was just sitting there going, what the hell are you talking about? It's not like spirituality just runs out.
Right. No.
And it's not a man-woman thing. It's there. You either take it or you don't. Still don't make no sense. In recap, yes, sacred space is for worshiping gods. We do it at certain times, the full moon, the Sabbaths, because people have done it that time, for time immemorial. That energy does not go away.
Right.
All right. That means every time we cast circle, at some point we are vibrating on a frequency that Lord Men and everybody else did in the 60s.
Right.
Used and before then. So yes, every time, for every full moon, there's energy over and over again. And at some point, you're going to pass through that vibration, or that frequency and power level to get to the realm of the gods. Because this is what everybody else did during the full moon.
Exactly.
Until here recently, which we just cast spells all of a sudden.
Right.
And
like,
nothing else. What the hell? If all you want to do is cast spells, go be a wizard.
Right. Don't drag my spirituality.
Well, again, don't drag our religion into something it don't need to be.
Absolutely.
I mean, because that's exactly how we look at wizards. Wizards do just magic. They do it very scientifically.
Right.
And then that's where it ends.
And they're good at it.
And they're good at it. There's no morals, there's no ethics, there's no religion, no nothing.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's just magic. And I'm sorry, when you're communing with deity and walking among them, that energy, it can be felt by everybody in the circle.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, your high priest and priestess might be channeling or incarnating these beings, and they're talking through them. But trust me, everybody in that circle is sitting back going, yeah.
Yeah, and, I have seen it that people who don't necessarily know that that's happening, they kind of look around like, what the fuck just happened?
Or I feel psychically attacked because I am now working at this vibration rate.
Right.
Instead of this lower vibration rate. I hope we're making sense here.
That might be another episode.
But again, sacred space is for communion with the gods, not casting spells. Spells can be done from your kitchen counter.
Right.
I don't know how else to put it. You don't need a separate altar. You just need a separate workspace.
Absolutely.
For spells. If you're going to carve symbols into candles, that's great. That's for you. Go for it.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it in another episode, a little bit more detail, but we have what we call a working altar, and then we have our altar.
Yeah, but our working altars are kitchen counters.
Right.
Or the kitchen table. It's not something specifically set up with a bunch of crap on it. It's an actual workbench.
Right.
Spells are done from a workbench, not from a goddamn altar.
Again, we'll get into more about altars a little bit later.
All right. Well, I'm out of coffee. I think I'm out of this. I'm sure
I'm out of coffee too.
All right. Well, we'll see y'all next week.
Thanks for joining us for another thrilling episode of Pagan Coffee Talk. We are on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We are on YouTube. If you want to leave us a comment, fly on over to the YouTube channel. Leave us a comment there. You can drop us a line on Facebook. We're on Messenger. Join us next time. All right? Thanks, y'all.
We travel down this trodden path, a maze of stone and mire. Just hold my hand as we pass by a sea of blazing pyres. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning breaks. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning